Welcome, Mage. I'm Rhino.
And I'm Papa Mage.
And today we're going to do the top 10 budget artifacts Commander Edition.
Okay, so you already have in your mind, you know exactly 10 commander cards, 10 artifacts that you put into every commander deck because they're in almost every precon. And let's start off with the ones that we're not going to talk about because they're the ones you're thinking of. Number one is
Arcane Signet.
Yeah, okay, everybody's got it. Yeah, we know that it's there. Everybody wants it for some reason. Yeah, okay. Number two is
Commander Sphere.
it's in every deck. Uh, let's see. Felwar Stone, uh, the Clue Stones, the Key Runes, the Signets. They're you find them in almost every commander deck. They're real cheap. Let's see. Next on the list is Mind Stone. And let's see here. The one that everybody wants banned or they don't want it banned.
Soul Ring.
Yes, it is a commander staple. Let's see. Another commander staple is
Swiftfoot Boots.
You use it to protect your commander when it comes out, to give it hexproof.
And haste.
And then the last one, number 10, that we're not going to talk about is
Wayfarer's Bauble.
Yeah, it's good for fetching a basic. All right, that's fine. A lot of people find these cards very popular. They put them in every deck. We're going to give you 10, actually a little bit more, because we got a couple honorable mentions. The first honorable mention is
Basilisk's Collar.
Okay, so Basilisk's Collar gives a creature death touch
and lifelink.
And
they're scared to death about it.
Yeah, people are scared to death about death touch. And it's like, why? whatever runs into it dies. Okay. Plus lifelink. So if you got something that's got a lot of power on it, you gain some life. And then it's an equipment. It stays on the battlefield. Now we've got another one that we put into a lot of decks. And we were tempted to put this on our top 10 list, but it's very specific to warriors.
Obsidian Battle Axe. The reason why we didn't put it in the top 10 it was not everybody does warriors.
Yeah. So now warriors is great for new players. It's a very simple creature type. People really get the warrior thing. And when you have warrior anthems and things like that, it's all great. It's
an auto attached to a warrior.
Yeah. And it auto attaches, which is like amazing. So the last honorable mention is
Tormod's Crypt. It's a Bajuka Bog, but on an artifact.
So why we didn't put this in our top 10 list is in a lot of cases it might be a dead card in your deck. If you're in a play group where you've got that person that pulls cards back from the graveyard all the time, or they use their graveyard like another hand or something like that, then you'll want to put Tormod's Crypt in. But it doesn't go in every deck. So our top 10 are cards that really do work in pretty much every deck. So Rhino's going to start us off with 2 at number 10. And that is
Alloy Mirror and Palladium Mirror. I really like Palladium Mirror because it taps for 2 instead of 1.
Yeah, and Alloy Mirror taps for 1 of any color. Now they are 3-drop, 2/2 creatures. So early on in the game, you can use them for fixing mana. Most people don't destroy these because they're just little 2/2 creatures. They're not worried about them. But later on in the game, when you got plenty of mana out, then it's perfect to use it as an attacker or throwing equipment on it or as a blocker to protect you from some commander damage or something like that. So that is the really cool thing about the mirrors. Now, number 9. Now, Rhino was having a hard time with this one.
Yeah, it's Cold Steel Heart.
Okay. He was getting hung up on it comes into play tapped. Okay. It is a 2-drop mana source for any color you pick. Okay. Now, you got to pick it at the beginning, but think of it this way. Let's say you're playing Boros. You're playing red and white. All right. Turn 1, you throw down your mountain. You tap it, you put down your Soul Ring. You tap your Soul Ring and you put down Cold Steel Heart and say, all right, white. So going into turn 2, not only do you have your red and white source, but you got your Soul Ring as well. So you've got 4 mana worth in turn 2. And you put down your next land and you've got 5 mana on turn 2. So this is a really, really cool card. Cold Steel, cool card. All right.
Cool.
Bad dad jokes or bad magic dad jokes. Yeah, that's what it is. So it's a really nice to have a 2-drop mana source. So that comes in at number 9. Number 8 is
Liquid Metal Quirk.
another 2-drop mana source.
Another 2-drop. Yes. It only taps for colorless, but it can also turn something into an artifact.
Yeah. A non-land permanent can become an artifact. Well, what good is that?
Well, if you have like a naturalize or a creeping mold.
Creeping mold or something like that. Something that destroys a target artifact. So you can turn something into an artifact and then destroy it. You can turn an opponent's commander into an artifact and then destroy it. So this can get you out of a lot of sticky situations as long as you see that little bit of a combo going in there. All right. So keeping on with our colorless, number 7 is Inspiring Statuary.
I didn't think about it.
Yeah, Rhino didn't think about it, but look at it. Non-artifact spells you have improvise, so you can tap artifacts for the colorless portion of any spell, pretty much, for casting it. So if you're casting an instant, a sorcery, an enchantment, a creature, another artifact. Well, not another artifact because it says non-artifacts. But any of these other things have this improvise. Now, you say, well, if I tap my Soul Ring for improvise, that doesn't do me any good. Well, you don't use it. You don't use it on Soul Ring. What you do is you use it on equipment. Because if you tap an equipment, okay, you tap the equipment. It still doesn't affect the ability for the equipment to do anything. There's very few equipment that lose abilities when you tap them. Now, the other thing is, what if you have a treasure token out? Okay, you can tap it for, the colorless that you need to improvise, and you still keep the treasure token on the battlefield, so later you can use it for a colored source. You can do it with a clue token or a food token.
I gave you that idea.
No, you gave yourself that idea. All right. All right, so number 6 is
Thought Vessel. It's a 2-drop
mana source.
and you have no maximum hand size. You can tap it for 1. And let's say overload of cyclonic grip and be like, thank you.
Yeah. So if somebody bounces things back to your hand, like using a cyclonic rift or something like that, yeah, you can pop these things back to your hand, then you play that first, and then you can keep everything in your hand. It's one of those mana sources that it kind of doesn't have a downside. Yeah, it's just a 2-drop, colorless, but you know, it's amazing how many times somebody gets you to draw extra cards and they're expecting you to have to discard down to hand size, and you go, no, no, I have no maximum hand size. I can keep my lands in my hand. I can keep everything in my hand and pick and choose what I really want. Uh, so number 5, okay, is one that Rhino didn't realize existed, and most people don't. It's Rogue's Gloves. Okay. So it's 2-drop, 2 to equip. It doesn't give your creature any pluses or anything like that. Or buffs, but you can draw a card when it does combat damage. Now, think of these little bitty creatures, merfolk that have, it's a like river sneak. It does a 1/1. You're pinging somebody for 1, unblockable. You have Rogue's Gloves on there. You're also drawing a card too. So it's a really cool way of getting your card draw in. And think about Inspiring Statuary. You can tap this to improvise things in. Yeah, it's really cool. All right. So number 4. All right, this is one.
Horizon Stone. This one is actually a really cool card. If you have so much mana that you don't have to spend, at the end of your turn, and you can tap and put it into Horizon Stone. It's colorless, but at least it's mana.
So, yeah, you can store a whole bunch of mana into the Horizon Stone. So like Rhino was saying, at the end, right before your turn starts, if you've got extra mana, you just tap it all out, and then all that becomes colorless, and you can store up a bunch of colorless. We've used this at one point. I think we had like over 4, one game we had like over 40 colorless, until you got, okay, now I'm going to use all of this mana. Yeah, if the Horizon Stone disappears, you have to use that mana really quick. But I mean, it's really, really underrated. Okay, something that is not necessarily underrated, but is still relatively unknown, is our number 3 card,
Trailblazer's Boots.
Okay, so people see this come out and you say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to equip Trailblazer Boots to my creature." Oh, okay, all right. What does that do? Oh, it gives it non-basic land walk. Okay, what does that mean? Most people don't know what that means. That means you have a non-basic land out. It's unblockable. Oh, and people are like, "Oh, I need to give me one of those." Yeah, it's like $1. And we have it in a lot of decks. Because what's something that almost every commander player, even monocolored commander players, they have non-basics in there. Even if they have, even if somebody's in 2 colors and they have an Evolving Wilds out, that's still non-basic. So all of a sudden your creature becomes unblockable. That's pretty nice. All right, so that was number 3. Number 2, this is one Rhino's going to talk about.
Blackblade Reforged. Okay. One thing that people see, it's It's a 2-drop, and
Equipped creature gets plus
plus
one
one
on
plus.
plus one.
Okay.
Okay.
But later in the game,
Well, they don't read the for each land you
you
can control.
control.
Yeah. Now people are starting to see this and use it more, but a lot of new players, a lot of people that don't really get into the equipment, they look at that equipped creature gets plus one plus one. All right, whatever. But you have 7 land out.
Oh. He gets +7 +7.
Yeah. And you can equip it to a legendary creature for 3. That's your commander. This makes commander damage pretty important.
Really?
Pretty real.
Yeah.
And you put Trailblazer Boots on top of it and Rogue's Gloves. Not only are you drawing a card, you're going in. Yeah, you're doing commander damage. I mean, it's a lot of fun stuff there.
Yeah.
Okay, so our number 1 pick. Can you guess it? It is Eminem. Mirage Mirror. Okay. So for 3, you get it out. And for 2, it can become anything on the battlefield. Pretty much. Yes, anything on the battlefield. This is one of those cards that if you don't think about it, if you don't work it into your deck and realize what it can do, it will just sit there and most people go, oh, well, yeah, I'm going to make it become that 4/4 creature that you've got. Okay, but what if it's something where you need to get mana, or maybe it's an enchantment that lets you gain life when a creature dies? There's so many things that this can do. Now, the other thing that you need to look at very closely here, because this is one of those things that most people miss, is it's 2: it becomes a copy of a target artifact, creature, enchantment, land until end of turn. The 2: means that it can be done more than once. Now, once it becomes a copy of something, that's erased. However, if you say, okay, I'm going to make my Mirage Mirror a copy of Rhino's big creature, and then he has a sacrifice outlet and he sacrifices it. Oh, okay. I'm going to sacrifice it so it can't become a copy. Well, I can pump in 2 more mana before that sacrifice happens and make it become something else. So that's what the 2: means. So it is still very, very useful, even if somebody is trying to avoid you copying something. You can, well, as long as you got the mana, you can make it become a copy of something else. And when it becomes that copy, it loses its artifact, it loses all that ability, and it becomes that until the end of turn. So you can use it if somebody does a Vandal Blast to destroy all your artifacts. Well, I'm going to make this become a copy of something that isn't an artifact. And it's an artifact that's no longer an artifact. So that is our top 10 budget artifacts for commander decks. If there's one that you think we should have had on our list, put it in the comments. We'd like to know what you think.
If you don't have one, then don't put it in the comments.
No, put an emoji or something down in the comments. Let us know that you like this list. And if you're going to be getting any of these cards. Now, we're not sponsored by anybody, so we have no ability to make you get you better deals or anything like that. But yeah, we have our own broker that gets us cards that we need. Plus, we also use CardSphere. We use that a lot, and we can get a lot of these cards a lot cheaper than the going rate, even through CardSphere. So,
well, I want to thank you for staying and watching, and I have more reviews coming out soon. So until then, Rhino out.